Hi, and welcome back to our C64 Rebrick series. If you saw part 1, you saw that we took a stock C64 power supply and we hollowed it out, took the epoxy and all the old components out safely without destroying the case, and now we're going to show how to put new components in to make the new power supply better and safer than the original. The C64 power supply requires 5 volts DC at about 1.5 amps at least, and 9 volts AC at 1 amp or greater. And that makes it a little bit unusual because there doesn't seem to be any other power supply that has those 2 voltage requirements, which is why it's hard to find replacements. For the 5 volts, we're using a Meanwell EPS 15.5. This is a great little power supply. It costs about $8. You can buy it from Jameco or DigiKey, a number of other places. And it's got adjustments so you can get fine-tune your voltage. It's fused. It's got over voltage protection, and it provides 3 amps, so it's way better than the stock power supply. Doesn't seem to generate any heat even when placed inside of a case that doesn't have any venting, so that's a great deal. This transformer is really just a parted out AC adapter that was a lot easier to obtain than buying a full 9 volt AC transformer all in its own case. What we're going to do to create this is we're going to epoxy them in place. We've got to go back to epoxy because the case doesn't really have any mounting points. So I'm going to show you how to do that in just a minute. This is what we're going to use for the AC. This is actually a 9 volt DC transformer at 1000 milliamps. We're just going to take the transformer out and we're going to discard the diode and other components. So that is going to require some destruction. So those of you who don't like destruction, don't watch this part. Okay, here's my helper. She's going to probably get in the way. In order to repair these power supplies, we're going to have to say, Annie, move. Or Annie, just stay right there. And all we're going to do is hit these with a hammer a couple of times. There we go. There we go. We're going to take the insides out. She hardly even flinched. And this is what we're going to use. We're going to use this transformer for our power supply. So I'm going to take the other components off and show it to you again. Here's our case with the lid. The lid has little pins sticking up on it. We just break those off. And in my design, what I have done is I'm putting all the components upside down in the case inside here. When I first came up with the idea to do this, I tried to come up with a way to put everything on here. The problem is that this is so flimsy that you'd end up having to install all kinds of material to support whatever you wanted to mount. So I've got everything mounted upside down. What we use inside this power supply is a Meanwell EPS 5-15, and that's going to go here. And this transformer that we destroyed from the wall wart, and that's going to go right here. That's the basis for this unit. Unfortunately, because there are no mounting pads or places to put screws, unless you want them visible from the outside, which I don't, we use the old standard to hold all this stuff in. That's epoxy. So in order to have something to mount the circuit board to, I use these nylon blocks. I actually buy them in lengths of 1 foot and cut them off so they're 2-inch blocks. And what we do is we glue them into the corners here. So they will be epoxied in place in the corner when we're done. Let's turn it this way so we can see the camera. And then this will be screwed down to that. I've never had them come loose. The transformer will be epoxied here in this corner to the bottom and the sides. I don't know how well you can see this, but all the areas that are going to have things epoxied in have been roughed up with a Dremel tool. That's key to getting the epoxy to stick successfully. I want to make sure that you can see inside there. We take our plastic nylon blocks, that's where they're going to go. And I'm going to simply dunk them into the epoxy. Like I said, my attitude about this is that you can't really have too much. And we're going to fit them in like so. Make sure the other one fits right where it's supposed to. And I'm in the wrong spot. Sure, I know what I'm doing, I think. And that's what that looks like. Finally, we do the transformer. And the transformer is going to go I'm going to turn this around. It's going to go on this side. I'm going to stick that in the epoxy, mush it around. That's a technical term, mushing. And we're going to put it right in that spot there where I've cleared with the Dremel tool, roughed it up. And then I take the remaining epoxy and I just drip it down the sides so that I'm sure that I have as secure a connection as I possibly can to the plastic. We don't want this guy coming out and flopping around in there. So there you have that. And that's going to dry for 24 hours before we get back and do anything else with it.